Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Well, that is the song I sing to Zuko every morning, and to welcome him to the day. And boop, oh, looks like my webcam's working again. So, isn't that wonderful? Yeah, so yesterday was an interesting session. It was one of those sort of vexing little situations where you're looking at your work and you're going, you know, this is pretty good. Yeah, I like the acting. But there's one little problem that kind of wrecks the whole thing, which is that it doesn't look like who it is, which is Asher. And that's partly because the characters have evolved as the production has evolved, as the workflow has evolved, and it's also because sometimes I do a sucky job on something and wind up needing to redo it. So it is what it is. So, and some people, I suppose, if you were out there looking at this, you might say, you might like this characterization better than this characterization. I don't know. But this is really Asher's, you know, this is who he is and what he looks like, right? So, anyway, so I got this shot done yesterday to sort of, I had to face the fact that, look, these shots all have to be redone. These 3 shots, 3 or 4. Which is a bit of a bummer because, like I said, I do like the acting in there, but you know what? World keeps on turning. So I did this shot, this one, and I added a little wink. I decided to sort of go with the flow from an acting standpoint. And so what Asher says is, it's always a privilege to stand in the presence of the king. And he winks at the king. Okay, so, and the lovely and gracious Valerie took a look at this shot and immediately said, I like the wink. Now, Valerie does not ever deliver compliments lightly, right? She's only going to compliment it if it really grabs her, and it's like, yeah, that looks good, kind of thing. So, anyway, so that was a good sign. So we're going to have to take this shot and kind of expand this out and redo the acting on these shots. So, no big deal. This morning, excuse me, I did this shot as a sort of a combination Tahoma Krita thing. So I added, what I did was I took this wide shot, which is not really the greatest shot in the world. Not bad, but not great. And I thought this transitional close-up would be good. So Asher's going to meet with the king, and I also modified, let me look at the script here. I modified Golek's line. Asher, how long has it been? Okay, yeah, so he says, Asher, how long has it been? To what do we owe this visit? It is always a privilege to stand in the presence of the king. Winky, winky. Okay, so that's working pretty well. And now we need to keep forging ahead. Well, I thought this absolutely, this is like embarrassingly lame. This shot is so amazingly bad, I can't even describe it. So we're going to pretend it doesn't exist at the moment. And I'm coming back here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to resave this as 158. I'm going to be bold. File save as. And this is going to be scenes 158. Ping. And yeah, we'll go ahead and save it over the storyboard image, and I'm just going to grab another layer in order to force Krita to save it as a Krita file. So what I wanted to do was have the king visibly chuckle a bit, right? So he smiles. Okay, so this probably is just a little too short of a delay. So I want to let the smile digest, and then I would say
the animation of it is too strong, but the basic idea is there. So let's approach this somewhat strategically. Um, the hand, let's take the hand out. Let's just take the hand out for the moment. Or maybe better yet, let's take the hand and cut it and paste it onto another layer. Okay? And now what we can do is go on this layer and just go through and delete the hand from all these shots. Just so we're not muddying the waters too much. So that key probably shouldn't be there. And now we can go in and actually not draw a hand that looks totally stupid. And make it good. Make it good-ish. So, so part of the trick lately has been learning to really think strategically about what I'm doing on a shot-by-shot basis, and you know, just kind of work smart. And sometimes I hit the mark, sometimes not so much. But okay, so he's actually gonna have fingernails, and I would say we'll even stick a Jack Kirby style thumb in there. What the heck? Why not? All right. Okay. So the hand is kind of sort of working. And we'll tighten that up at ink and paint time. But my sense is that what we really want to do is probably leave the hand off. So let's do this. What we'll do is we'll do a four step. So slow in, big move, maybe with a little angle. Slow out. I just got to get the pace here. This is probably going to be like obnoxiously badly paced, but let's give it a crack. Okay, now let's take these and mirror them, meaning we just simply reverse them. So he's sitting there, and then he smiles. Okay, and yeah, this happens too slowly. So let's take, that key doesn't need to be in there. So really this intermediate one is the problem. Let's just take it out, Control-Shift-X. And vidvisor, when did learn to they? When did learn to they? Huh. Okay, so I'm guessing maybe English is not your first language, which is fine. But I do not understand what that means. When did learn to they? To they? What the heck is to they? Okay, it's still okay, with the caveat that I think we want to move this over like that a little bit. I think that's better. Yeah, I like that better. So, vidvisor, thank you for your question. If you could clarify what to they means, I could maybe answer the question. Okay, so now here, this stuff is all kind of expendable, honestly, because this could be done very well with the plastic tool. Very well with the plastic tool. In Tahoma, this hand could be animated also very well in Tahoma. So over here, I would say let's just animate the smile, and then maybe a little head turn situation, but yeah, okay. All right, so again, we're thinking strategically here. Okay, so step one, I would say, is let's do ink and paint on this. Okay, so I'm going to go Control A, Control C, And we're going to go back over here to Tahoma. We'll save all on that other scene. And is it still saving? Aha, there we go. Now, actually, this is probably a stupid idea. Let's rethink that. Let's do the ink and paint here in Krita, and then we'll just cut and paste the finished art into Tahoma. So, give me half a second here, folks, to shed my hoodie because I'm starting to like cook. Ugh. Pretty much like Superman, I just step into the phone booth and come out with a different hat and a different of course, if I was Superman, I'd take the glasses off, but that wouldn't be necessarily the most prudent idea. Okay, so this is going to be our hand ink and paint. Alright, so let's take these guys, turn them down. And now what we're doing is we're going to create the assets that we need to bring this into Tahoma for animation. So that's our strategy. And we'll take a color about like that for our ink. And boom, boom, boom. Whoops. Can't tell if I put that line in there or not. Nope, I did not. You silly goose, Dave. Okay, a little bit of detail. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so now this, I suppose, if we're going to jump back to, well, we really didn't see his hand in that shot, so I guess we want to see his hand. Yeah, he does have like a collar situation, or a cuff situation. So we'll put that in there. And now let's just zoom out and see if that's, his hand's looking a little beefy there, folks. Little beefy. So GE to go into erase mode. BE to put it back in draw mode and not erase. And this is the sort of thing I've sort of been getting a little pickier about. Just little stuff like that. It's like, you know, it's obvious that it's not right. But, you know, to make it right would take effort. I'm joking. I'm kidding, okay? Okay. So, VidVisor has asked the all-important question. When did learn to thay? To which I have no answer, because I have no idea what that even means. Okay. I would say this is kind of boring. Kind of uninteresting. There. That's better. That is better. Now I'm going to solo the layer, and I'm going to just pick a tone for the king's flesh, which I think, yeah, that's probably about right. And hit the fill tool in behind mode and hope for the best. Not horrible, not horrible. G key, also in behind mode. This is, of course, the freehand path tool. And there we go. Okay, now we do want to go ahead and bake in shadows, by the way, and also hitting the 5 key to reset our rotation. We can come back here and say, you know, he's basically trending towards a muted purple with a muted blue, something like that on the collar, or the cuffs. So I'll just go like this to close that little gap. Then I can hit the F key and boop, 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 boop. Fill that in. And now again, muted purple. Something like that would appear to be about right. Now with the in behind mode, of course, I can go like that, and it's going to fill in all those little gaps for me quite nicely. Okay, now what we want to do is slap on a little bit of shadow. So let's go to opacity of 12, and we're going to turn on alpha lock. And we don't want to be in behind mode, silly. That was very silly. I literally ensured that it wasn't going to work. Okay, I'm going to give a little bit of light. Little bit of light. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And maybe a little hint there, a little hint there. No. That's not what I meant to do. More like that. Okay, and then let's go ahead and we'll let the edges of his fingers have a little bit of shadow. Nope, that's no good. That little highlight there calls attention to itself, which is not good. Okay, save our work. Boom. Alright. Now, what we can do is hit Control A, Control C, and we'll just jump over here, and I guess we'll go to that layer and paste it in. Okay, boom. So now it's in there. And yeah, worth noting, by the way, that it looks like we're at 1280 by 720 over here in Krita. Not the end of the world, but it probably would be prudent to scale this up. It would be prudent to scale it up. So I am actually going to, well, what I want to do is, let me look at, I'm looking at the outline thickness. Actually, let's leave it. I'm going to come over here. And now, how might we touch things up in Tahoma? Watch this. This is going to be kind of interesting. Let's go to let's save this as scene 158. So we'll call this 158. Okay. So now, because we're doing save all, anything that's been cut and pasted from Krita is now magically going to get saved in this folder, the extras folder. Which means if you needed to, it would be dead easy to cut and paste, or drag and drop, I should say, this back into Krita. Now, that's a bit of a, okay, this is an interesting point. As you can see, what Tahoma did was it saved it as a TIFF. Now I'm curious, since we're kind of getting this dialed in, I want to go into my preferences and see if we change the default image format to ping, I wonder if that'll cause the drag and drop stuff, or the, yeah, I mean the cut and pasted stuff, I guess I should say. If that would cause that to actually save it behind the scenes as pings. Where the heck, general, where the heck is the preference for the default image format? I've seen it 10 trillion times over the last couple of years. Saving, and now could be a Tahoma thing. It could be something that has been an OpenToonz thing forever, and Jeremy made the option maybe to take it out, which has happened more than once, where Tahoma has a couple idiosyncrasies that I think are maybe not the greatest choices necessarily. But I may be looking straight at it and not seeing it, but I cannot see the option anywhere in the preferences anyway to tell Tahoma that the default image file save as format should not be TIFF but PNG. As I say, hey Inyo-san, rendering settings? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. But it is, you are correct that you can change this to PNG, and that's fine. But I wonder if this path is still on the clipboard now. Okay, let me do a little bit of due diligence here. Otherwise, we're going to be sitting here all day just like kind of dicking around. So let's go to our favorites. Boom. Let's cut that to the clipboard. Come back here. Ba, 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 ba. And this is going to be 158 in the render settings. Okay, so that takes care of that. I do not want to render that at the moment. But, yeah, of course you want an alpha channel. But my very strong suspicion is that made absolutely no difference. This is a little weird, and probably I wonder if I even have, yeah. Unfortunately, I've gotten comfortable enough with Tahoma that I went ahead and got rid of my installation of OpenToonz, which means I can't go back and compare. But for whatever reason, this idea that we can't decide what we want the default save format to be, if Darren was out there right now, he probably could tell me where it is. It's like, if it's not in the preferences, where the heck is it? One wonders. I guess we'll just live without that one at the moment. So moving forward, anyway, here I'm going to go ahead and just expand this down a little bit. So I'm hitting the R key to sample this color, and I'm probably not going to need this, but no harm to put it in there. So I'm just kind of going like that. And then when I hit save all on my Tahoma scene, this image on the hard drive in the extras folder will get updated accordingly. Now, I do want to actually make this a skosh darker. So this interoperability of Tahoma and Krita has proven increasingly useful. The main thing is, what I'm finding is, and this is really my preference and may not work for others for sure, I would expect that, is that I am less and less enamored of the smart raster levels here in Tahoma, what the OpenToonz people would refer to as Toonz raster. One thing I do want to do here, so if you're having to mush things around and you want sort of the benefit that you get with the liquify tool in Krita, this is about as close as you can get in Tahoma. It's not too bad. Is you just grab a selection and then you mush it around. And then you just have a little bit of cleanup you have to do. So then you just hit your E key, delete that, B key. And so yeah, what I'm finding is that I'm really preferring to work in standard raster levels where I can just really interactively paint stuff, right? So now if we save all, we are going to discover that I want to check my hotkeys here. Control-Alt-1 and Control-Alt-2. So Control-Alt-1 takes me to the scenes folder. Control-Alt-2 to the extras folder. If I hit Control-End, seems to me there it is, and as you can see, it has updated accordingly. Okay, cool. So the main thing I was checking on the scene resolution was kind of the question of, are these outlines going to turn out to be about the right size? Now, if I, let's just say, scaled this up, and let's just say we're going to anchor this on his elbow situation maybe. Okay, so this is going to be down here. And if we're going to match Krita, which we are, then basically what you have is on frame 8. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's just stretch this down to maybe 32 frames, 36 would be good. That's fine. I'm going to leave this here, Control C, Control V. And I'm kind of doing, not exactly doing my own tweens, but kind of, sort of. I'm letting, 1, 2, 3, I'm letting Tahoma do the tweening, but I pretty much control these repeats so that the tweens are crisp. That may not make a lot of sense, but here's the deal. Oh, okay. Thank you, Enios. I appreciate that. That's nice. Okay, so what I've been finding is get the art where it needs to be in Krita, break things into pieces as necessary, cut and paste them into Tahoma. Don't get too aggressive with the plastic tool. Recognize that it has limitations. A great example of that would be over here. This is the thing I've been seeing in Krita, which may be useful to those of you that are trying to animate in Krita. If you want to do some sensitive type of animation, like you see right here, like a little bit with the eyebrows, you know, eyebrows are so important, right? The way to do that is, let me just see if I got Asher's head. The way to do that I found is the most both effective and efficient, okay, is you simply make a selection of the thing you want to mess with, and then you animate it with the liquify tool. So now, because it's a selection, I can just dial this in and do whatever I want with it. And there's a cost, and the cost is I have to now do a little cleanup. Okay, so let's start the clock. Ready, go. We don't want to be in that mode. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so what did that take? 20 seconds? So to go from complete ability to do whatever the heck I want animation-wise to, you know, took about a minute. And the thing about it is, to do the same thing any other way would require you to start thinking in terms of layers, like, okay, I need to put the, hey Dirt, okay, I need to put the eyebrows on a separate layer. Well, I probably need to put his eyes on a separate layer, and keep going on and on and on with you know, the layers. And pretty soon, all of a sudden, you're no longer thinking like an artist. You're no longer thinking about, I'm just gonna dive in and engage with the art and the movement and the characters and make them do what I want them to do. Nope. Now you're starting to think like a 3D modeler. More about the mechanics of it and the organization of it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's both ways are very good and very effective. I've just been finding I have a lot more fun and do better work when I do it this way. So again, even with shadows and stuff, I'm finding just bake the shadows in. Just take your chances and keep it as flat as possible. You know, this Asher animation does have 4 layers, but this is just a tint, actually. And then the mouth's always on a separate layer. So really, for the most part, it's just the head and the body. You know, but you could get into a lot more complication than that. At the end of the day, if it looks good, it is good. So anyway, over here in Tahoma, what I'm thinking is I'm going to get a little bit more reliable results if I do the keyframing over there. So what we've got is, if you look here, what we've got is we got the king's outfit, his head, and then basically his mouth is what animates. And that's pretty much it. Okay? So I'm going to take the hand out. There's no reason for it to be in there anymore. And the guide, I would say the guide of the hand can be deleted. And now we're just going to go ahead and do ink and paint on the king. I'm going to leave this in here because I can use it as a reference for the flesh tone. So this would be the hand. Okay, so how do we want to approach the king? Well, let's look at this. The only thing we care about here is, in terms of movement, is the mouth. And the only thing we care about here is basically the shoulders and the head moving in contrary motion. So for all intents and purposes, what we really have here is a single image. But I am thinking it would be wiser to keep the head and the body separate. So that's my plan. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try keeping this all on one layer, just because, as insane as that may seem, it tends to be my preference. So I'm going to go to turn down mode. And what that does is it takes the turns the alpha down. That's all it does. It just takes it and makes it very, very transparent. Now, that felt like it did it twice. So, and now I'm just hitting Control F. Takes 10 seconds to go through and just dial everything down. Now I can continue with my ink right on the same layer, and we'll break things up into pieces once it becomes necessary to do so. So, alright. Here comes some rapid fire ink and paint. Hitting the B key. Turning on the stabilizer. Crowns. Crowns are a pain, aren't they? Okay. Now, a little bit of a judgment call on his expression. I'm basically saying I'm going to have him looking down through the whole motion. Not necessary, but that's just the choice I'm making. Okay. This, I'm telling you, I'm going to do the same thing I did before on the pencil test. I'm just going to use the plastic tool, or I'm sorry, the liquify, and add these animation keyframes. Alright, he's going to have a little bit of age to him. He's not super old, but I'm going to say as a king in the world of, you know, roughly 15,000 years ago, he's probably, I don't know, 50s maybe or something. So he's starting to show a little age, but he's not especially elderly. Okay, let's back up a little bit here. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Unfortunately, the hotkeys for rotate and zoom are complete opposite between Tahoma and Krita, and I just haven't gone in and corrected that. There we go. That's feeling alright. Boom, boom, boom. I like it. I like it muy mucho. This guy does have a lot of hair, I will say. He's got a lot of hair. Not buying this, so I'm just gonna correct it that way. Okay. Now, the question. Oh, hey, Maria. Good morning. Sorry for absences. Lots of theater work. Well, I haven't been on. I mean, I didn't get on last night anyway. Save our work. Save early. As I was describing earlier, kind of makes it start to feel mechanical and organizational rather than creative. And I think what it is when you break it into layers, typically you want to close your shapes for fill operations. So the back of his garment, you would draw it in there, but if you draw it in there, now you've got all this kind of garbage happening. So what I'm thinking is I'm just not going to draw it. I'm just going to leave it out. And we'll do it with the color, but not with the lines. Okay, I need to go back to Vegas, not the city, but the software, and just double check Vespigi's garment. Oh, I like his outfit. I like it. It's looking pretty good. So he's got these buttons down the front. It's a bit of a pain to deal with buttons. Let's actually do a good job on these, shall we? Yeah. Problem is they're a little dark. I think we're okay though. I'll just put in a couple of them. So it's cool in Krita, you hit shift to make it a perfect circle, and then alt lets you drag it around to wherever it needs to be, and then when you let go it actually draws it. So this one up here, I think I'll be a little more sloppy poo on that one. So that feels pretty good. Again, we're gonna save the mouth animation for after ink and paint. So this is going to be his head. And now we're going to look at the hand as a color reference. Boom. And probably it would be good to do a cleanup on this. So what that means is I've got a preset that does a curve operation on the alpha. Come on. So that all those guidelines, I just turn them off. Boom, gone. Okay. Now, under the hood, Krita knows they're still there. And that's important to understand because that means that probably fill operations are going to be spotty. You know, you're going to get spotty performance. Stop everything. I see a problem. Kind of a stupid problem. Did I really do that? Dumber than a box of rocks. The center, obviously, of the crown would be there. So what the heck was I thinking? All right. Now, this is going to be, likewise, a little bit challenging. Okay, and I guess this I could just paint over. Might as well, right? Okay, that's better. All right, so I'm going to sample that, hit the G key, and once again, go to behind mode. So Maria and Enio are happy to see each other right here on the BlendedPlanet cartoon production live stream. Yeah, I was talking yesterday about the possibility of doing a crowdfund on this project, and my only misgiving about it is I didn't want to go down that road until I felt extremely confident that I can deliver the goods. You know, I noticed with and then I mean, if you look at the crowdfund on Kickstarter for Blossom Detective Holmes, he's kind of gotten a lot of flack for apparently it would seem changing the game a little bit for people in regard to their rewards. So I'm not sure, you know, not sure about that, but that's one thing you want to be real careful of with a crowdfund. If you're going to make promises, you need to keep them. Tis what 'tis. All right, let's go back here to Vegas. So having said that, I'm actually leaning towards actually thinking that a crowdfund would not be a bad idea. Here's the premise. I'll pitch the premise out there, and those of you who are paying attention and care, you can give me your feedback. Okay? So here's my thinking. My thinking is there's major points and minor points in the story that I need to tell. Because if you're going to do a crowdfund, you really need to have a story that you're trying to pitch to. That's a compelling story of what you're trying to do. So I think the major points that are compelling are just the whole idea of one guy trying to create this 12-episode epic. Minor points would be the one guy is already pretty close to having the first episode done. So I'm proving that, at least as far as animation goes, I'm proving that I can tell a story. I'm proving that I can deliver acceptable quality. So to me, that's kind of important, because if people are going to bank on, they're going to support what you're doing, well, what are they really supporting? They're supporting the idea of taking this, okay, we know what we can do here. And again, folks, I'm just thinking out loud. This is the kind of stuff that goes through my mind. I'm thinking that, okay, if you can actually deliver an episode, and let's see, I'm thinking we should go straight to mode. You need to be in normal mode. So at that point, I'm saying I'm going to spend the next 3 years of my life cranking out an episode every 3 months, basically. Now, the idea of trying to accelerate that to a more rapid time frame has been, it's come up. I think probably it's not that important to do. I think every quarter is probably not too bad, especially given that the first double-length episode that kicks the whole thing off is going to be pretty much delivered both at the same time, So we've still got the distribution pathway, which is cool. But Jaman Swag, do you prefer Krita or do you prefer Tahoma2D? Prefer, if you're going to put a gun to my head and say you have to prefer one or the other, I prefer Krita. And that's just because my ability to create what I want to create, what's in my head, I'm able to do that more effectively with Krita, mainly because in my animation workflow, the single most important thing is not movement. The most important thing is the image. And it is harder to get the imagery that I have in my head to happen in Tahoma and tweaks. Little things like if you're dealing with a palette situation. Okay, so I'm going to grab a palette situation, meaning you got a limited number of colors in a palette, like a smart raster level in Toonz. Thank you. It's not really a portrait though. It's just a single frame of animation in the current shot. Okay, so what I'm trying to say to Jaman Schwag is that for me, I've done enough of this that the benefit of the smart raster levels that gives you the ability, essentially what you're gaining with your smart raster levels is the ability to tweak the colors after the fact. Okay, it's just like in the Blender grease pencil with the palettes there. Well, not the palettes, that's going to be confusing, but the materials. For me, that's a phantom benefit. That's almost a non-benefit, because to me, you really kind of want to have your color figured out, so you're not having to mess with them, after the fact. And plus, when you get into an actual show, there's like hardly a single cut in an entire show. I mean, and I've produced, written, directed, whatever, 8 feature films, so I've done a lot of editing, right? And there's hardly a single shot that doesn't wind up needing color correction anyway, you know? So what I'd rather have is the ability to just dive into a color wheel like this and just paint the darn thing. Another example, well, here, let me give you another great example, actually. If we look at the way the lighting is in this situation, okay, it looks like the lighting is coming, I don't know, I think I made Golet kind of backlit, so let me just double check this so I don't get on the wrong track here. That shot's going to have to be redone as well. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of saying that the light is coming from the character's upper right, so that would be stage left, upper stage left. Okay, so let's just go with that. Okay, so if I was going to do that in Tahoma, I could do it with a post-production effect, obviously, through the compositor. That's fine. But I could also, what I would probably have to do is I would have to draw little lines in here and then create another palette entry for the highlight color and then paint part of his hair, you know, that way. In Krita, I just go, you know what, let's just lock the alpha, turn the opacity down to 9%, and just jump into overlay mode and just kind of add it in like that. Okay, right? And you can build it up a bit. If you wanted to have a real backlit situation, you could maybe do something like this. But it's so quick and easy, and you know, I think I'm probably unusual as far as animators go in the fact that I like to keep everything sort of baked into the imagery, which means sometimes I make mistakes where I have to go back and it's a little more laborious for me to correct some of the mistakes that are made, but it's kind of sort of worth it to me, honestly. So I'm gonna, now Krita appears to be a little bit frozen at the moment. I'm not sure what's going on there. Morning YS Books. So I'm going to jump over here, and because I'm yakking, I may have... thank you, Krita. Save our work. Save early, save often. Okay, so now what are we going to do? We are done, basically, with the guy's head. And what we want to do now is, all we got to do is get this slow smile situation going on. So what we're going to do is create 2 keys. I could jump over to Tahoma and try to do this maybe with the... oh, you know, like the plastic tool or whatever, but that's basically just a stupid way to do it. For what I'm trying to do here, it's going to be way simpler to just grab the liquify tool and just say, okay, his mustache and his smile is going to come up a little bit, and that's that. And then I'm just going to copy that key here and do it again. And I'm just looking for that smile to appear. All right, let's just see. Yep, perfect. Now, you could argue that, I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the next frame so that if I make a mistake, I can sort of retreat from it. But what I'm thinking is, I'm also wanting to see a little bit of a twinkle sneaking in on his eyes. Yeah, I like that. I think I like that. Okay, so we'll look at all 4 frames and then see what happens if we condense that down to 3, like so. Yep, perfect. So let's get rid of that and save our work. Okay, so now the question becomes, how do we want to use this in Tahoma? Do we want to... the most laborious way would be to take the head and cut and paste it in 1 frame at a time. But I mean, you know what? Let's give that a crack. Okay, there's his hand. Let's say his head is going to be here. This is kind of advantageous because what it means is that all these heads for the king are going to be saved in the extras folder automatically. So to me, the 30 seconds I have to take to just cut and paste from Krita to Tahoma is just totally worth it, right? So boom, boom, boom. That's done, and now we can go ahead and just expand this. I think I was going to give him 1 second. Okay, obviously the scale is wrong. So I'm just going to hide this layer for the moment and deal with everything else kind of at the scale it came in from Krita. I mean, truthfully, the simple solution here would be to just delete these keys and start over. Boom. It's only going to take half a second to do anyway. Okay, cool. So do you think camera movement concerning animation is better than Tahoma? Okay, so Jaman, so what I was talking about is the fact that my emphasis, put it this way. So I'm going to answer your question in 2 ways. Answer number 1 is my personal view is this. The 80-20 rule, for me, says that the imagery is everything. In other words, if my characterization and my drawing and my lighting and the picture, in other words, the freeze frame is beautiful. If that's true, I know that everything else is going to work. I can do the animation. It's not that hard. I'm pretty decent on characterization, yada, yada, yada. And I'm a good editor. On the other hand, if the imagery is wrong, say this shot, let's look at this. Well, I can't really show it full screen on that screen, but if the imagery is wrong, no amount of composition, animation, or anything else is going to make any difference. It's going to make literally no difference at all if the animation is wrong. Or I mean, if the still imagery is wrong. Okay. Now, by the way, guys, just so you know, my action of pushing preview in Vegas so it showed on the other screen that's up there caused that other screen to turn off, which is completely insane. There is no scenario where that would seem to make sense, but that is in fact what has happened. And that's kind of a severe problem because I now am moving my mouse up there and my screen has disappeared. Has that ever happened before? No. But it's happened now, and it's happened today, and not quite sure what we do about that. I'll go with a hunch. It's probably not going to work, but my hunch is to kill Vegas. So let me finish answering his question. Once you get past that simple rule that whatever it takes to make the still imagery as good as it can be is the most important thing. Once you get past that, the answer is without a doubt Tahoma. Everything about animation is way easier in Tahoma. Unless you're really good with and comfortable with simple frame-by-frame animation. You know, because you got to do everything yourself in Krita. You know, so that can be a good thing, you know, to a degree. But, okay, so what the heck? So, yeah, something about running Vegas has caused my desktop. I'm going to actually open the NVIDIA control panel. And what I can tell right now is happening is it's actually open on another screen that I'm not allowed to actually see. And the screen is not actually off. What's happened is it's a black screen. Up, there it came back on. Okay. Wow, that's pretty annoying. Okay, so anyway, that got rid of that situation. Okay, so yeah, Jaman Swag, for sure, dude. Camera movement, animation, everything about it is going to be easier and better in Tahoma. It's non-existent in Krita. It's not there. The reason I use Krita is because the drawing and painting, the ink and paint, the process of getting the imagery for me is better and more enjoyable and more effective in Krita. It's not a rule though. I mean, everybody's different. So if I had to tell a young person, you know, you got to choose this one or that one, I would say go with Tahoma. No question about it. Okay, so let's get the body dealt with here, shall we? Okay, so what we're going to do is go to the hand and swipe this little color right here. I would say this one. So I'm going to hit the G key and sample that. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the border, zoom out, and now it looks to me like we could go into behind mode and come on. Oops, we don't want alpha lock on at this moment. Okay, so now over here we need to be a little more careful. I'm going to hit the G key, not burn mode, behind mode. Go like that. Sorry, opacity was turned down. Silly me. Okay, now we're going to fill that. Boom, 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 boom. Hit the G key, patch that problem. Okay, so now let's go back to, we're going to have to rerun Vegas. So unfortunately, got a couple steps I need to do here. Running Vegas. Camera movement concerning animation. Yeah, you can't do camera movement at all in Krita. What you can do is you can take your image and scale it and make it look like a camera move. But there is no camera. There is no concept of a camera. There's no camera. There's no keyframe interpolation. There's no parenting. None of that. So you pick your poison. Okay, and Vegas really hosed me in a big way, because what Vegas did was it actually lost my last edit. So I'm going to import 158B, wait, 152B, hold on, let's double check this. It seems to me this would be, oh, I see. I'm wrong. I made a boo-boo. I'm wrong. There it is. So I'm going to save that. We're good. Back to Krita. Okay, what I wanted to do actually though was go right here and just look at what his color scheme is. So basically we've got goldish on the buttons, pinkish on the outside stripe, and goldish on the inside stripe. Okay? This is the purple. Is that a different tone? It's a slightly different tone. So we're going to take this and just go just a little bit. And now what we're going to do is hit the G key. We're in behind mode, so that means we can't make a mistake. So I'm just going to go like this and go like that. Okay, the reason I didn't fill it in all the way is I need to deal with those buttons. So we'll just deal with the buttons. And now fill tool, fill tool, fill tool, fill tool. Whoops. Then grab this and should be able to do the fill tool again. And then, just to make life easier, I'm going to draw a line here, here, and here. I'm just going to put lines in there. Okay, so yeah, we're going to sample this color, and then we're going to rotate it around to the pinkish and slightly lighter. Slightly lighter. Okay. Yeah, you got an inside and an outside color. So boom, boom, and then basically a slight save all. Okay, so now let me think about how I want to do this. Probably, okay, so Tahoma is saving all, so give it a second. Okay. So this is an unusual situation for me in that I deliberately, as an experiment, did the shot in Krita at broadcast HD, and that's why everything is so small on the screen. That's really not a big deal. This is kind of interesting. Where did the hand go? Oh, I know. I have the stupid layer turned off. Silly gosh. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I'm definitely going to use the plastic tool. And when I do the plastic tool, all that we're really going to do is actually shrug this guy's shoulders. So it seems to me, and the only thing that's going to be animated with the plastic tool is his shoulders. So I say we just do the plastic tool and get it over with, and then we'll use the animate tool on the plastic tool layer or level, and all the animation will be done from there on out with just the animate tool, not the plastic tool. But I do need to get that shoulder shrug in there. So let's see. Don't need a lot of resolution on that. All right. And I think just to make life easier, I'll turn these layers off so I can see what I'm doing. Smack that down there. And so now what we're going to do is go into build skeleton mode. And what we want to do is give ourselves a bit of room on the bottom to move things around if we need to. And what I'm doing is I'm putting a row of nodes, or bones you could say, here to effectively protect this part of his body. I don't want this to be bent around or flexed or anything by the bones. What we are going to have is essentially his neck staying in place while his shoulders shrug up, and I want them to have a little bit of mass to them. So I'm going to give the shoulder area a few nodes that are working together. And that should be pretty close. Let's put it in animate mode and just see what we get. Okay, we want to turn off keep distance so that we can get a shrug. Okay. So that works. That's fine. I'm going to hit undo. And I need to check my timing. And in Krita, I did the shrug at frame 12. And as I recall, it seems to me that that felt about right. So I want a global key. Why don't we pop that up? Pop that up. And what did I do? I did it on ones. Oh my. Not bad, not bad. So now is it going to tween between them? Yes. So this needs to go Control C, Control V, and then we'll put these two here, and then duplicate them. Control C, Control V, so you get the two shrugs. Yep, there we go. Okay, cool. Now basically most of the hard work is done, with one little caveat that I forgot, unfortunately. And the caveat that I forgot is I forgot to put the shadows in there. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. Unsolo this layer. Take the hand. Don't need the hand in there. Head. Come back here. G. I'm thinking the head should be on top. And then in the body layer, we are going to, let's get things fixed here. Okay? We'll do alpha lock. Opacity of 12. Black. I said opacity of 12, curse you. Okay. Body. And really, I can tell you that being in behind mode when you're adding shadows is pretty much about as dumb as it gets. So that was a major dumb attack on my part right there. You guys got to see it live right here on YouTube. Right here on YouTube. Okay, so now this is where we want to just kind of sell it. Yeah, that looks way better. That looks way better. Little bit of variation there. Yeah, what the heck. What the heck? Do we want to tighten up a little bit more even down here? No. No, that's getting into too much. Okay, so now we're going to take the body, Control A, Control C, and what we're going to do is come back here to Tahoma. This is, by the way, something I've never tried. I've never tried pasting into the image. I don't think it'll work, but let's give it a try. So I'm going to hit the S key, select all, and hit Control V. Ah, it worked! Cool! Okay. File, save all. You gotta like it when it works. Nice. Okay. So what does that mean? That means that we can go ahead and animate this thing in, other than the background, the shot's pretty much done. We should be able to steal the background from the Golic shot, because we have the background. We just need to defocus it. So, right. Okay. So let's look at our layers, and up here at the beginning, let's get everything in position relative to each other. All right. So first, the body, I'm not going to worry about. Everything's relative to the body. Okay. The head, we'll hit the A key. We'll put the center of the head kind of in the neck position, and then we'll get the head where it needs to be. Okay. Hand, same situation. We've already anchored it at the where the elbow would be. So now if we basically say, well, where would the elbow be? Pretty much there. Okay, and Tahoma's acting a little bit pukey, I would say, for lack of a better term. Hey, Ishnan Benuthipan. Okay. So now coming back here, let's look at the hand. And what we did was yes. So we really want to basically put the hand here, Control C, probably around 6 frames. And then what we could do is on the very first frame, just take the plastic tool layer and scale it up. But before we do it, we would want to go into the schematic, and what we want to do, actually this is kind of an interesting conundrum. Okay, normally what we would want to do is just make one layer the parent, and all the other layers are children of it. In our case here, there's an added complication, because if we do the defaults and we feed these other levels into the plastic tool, then the plastic tool mesh is going to have an effect on them. So the easiest solution here, by far, is just to create a dummy layer. I'm going to hit the B key so it creates a smart raster level, and we're going to use this as a controller. Okay, so now there it is, and what we'll do is we'll put all these other levels through that level. Okay, and now on frame 1, we can hit the animate tool and just scale everything up. And probably about like that. Okay, now and so I'm not happy with that plastic tool animation, but that's okay at this point. Why are you using Tahoma? Because I like Tahoma. I use Tahoma together with Krita. That's what I do. Sometimes I do the animation all the way through in Krita. Sometimes I don't. It just depends. There's no rule. Those are my two main tools at this point. You know, he says, ignoring the fact that earlier this morning I was actually working in Blender yet again. But, okay. So what we want to do is we want to look at the face, Control C, and right here, there's the first shrug. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy that key there, and then here, we're going to, come on, Tahoma. Yeah, Tahoma is definitely a little bit draggy. Little bit draggy. And oh my gosh, how annoying. Control C, Control V. All I really wanted to do is go like that. Okay, I think we will probably forgive the slight malfeasance with his hair. Also, let me see, this key versus this key. Let's Control C, Control V. Okay, now what I want to do is just fix the plastic tool animation because that looks a little bit stupid. It's just too extreme. So if I have to, I'll completely rework them. But let's see what we have to work with. Okay, yeah, that's like obnoxious. So we'll just go like that. Just want to get that first. Yeah, it's a pretty subtle motion, really. I like that. I don't like that at all. So we just want a little bit. Now that turn is no good. That turn is no good, people. There we go. Okay, let's copy this, paste that. And obviously that looks about as stupid can be, so let's take that out. Not bad, not bad. Not bad. Okay, let's deal with the background, and then this shot will be able to be put to bed. Now what we should do, we probably should have Golik in the background seething. So we got this shot, and then this is the shot we are re-envisioning even as we speak. And last we looked at Golik, he was actually facing forward. Okay. It's interesting how small motions actually can be. Yes, I know. Isn't that true? Yeah, it's so true. Subtlety, my friends. Subtlety. Okay, so yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the extras folder and boom, there it is. It's already done for us. Well, let me check something though. That might be a problem. It might be an editorial problem. I mean, we put that behind Golik. No, we're okay. We're okay. Just you can sort of get away with stuff if there are other cuts in between, so that the audience isn't going to remember the stuff that you maybe reused or whatever. So now let me see. Yeah, I mean, I would say the focal blur is actually about right. So okay. So now if we're gonna do, if we want to put Golik in the shot, why don't we go grab the last shot that we did with Golik and just drag and drop him in, right? So I'm going to hit insert, so there's another level here. And then we'll put Golik in the background. So here, this is the shot we're referring to. And so we're going to go back to Tahoma 152B. Let me think about this. That was a Toonz raster level. So it seems to me that if we go to, I think, let me see, in the drawings, folder, that's probably it right there. Because it's the most recent one I've messed with. Well, no, not necessarily. Well, wait a minute. Yes, because this stuff we're working with here in Tahoma is all raster levels. There's no smart raster levels other than this dummy level, which it looks like that's what that is. So I'm guessing that that's it. Let's see. Let's take a wild stab. That's not it. No, that's not it at all. I'm really, really flying blind here. Totally just guessing. Totally guessing. 6:05 a.m. Let's just guess. That's his mouth. This is where saving your levels. That's the shadow. Doggone. Curses. It's probably FW because that's a really big file. But I'll just keep going. I'll keep going. Okay, that was the first expression. And I'll bet you that's it. Ah! Curses, that's his body. I am just hitting everything wrong here. TLV. And that's the pencil test. So what we see here, people, is the interesting dynamic of literally being able to find every single smart raster level that I've used in the last 24 hours, except the one that I actually need. Yes, that's what you're seeing happen right now before your eyes. And it would appear that nothing I do is going to allow me to find that stupid thing. There's a backup file. And unbelievably, Tahoma/OpenToonz does not recognize its own backup file. Okay. So we've got fw.tlv I already pulled in. So I give up. I'm going to do this the easy way instead of the hard way. It's a great example. Great lesson learned here. I've said it a million times on this channel. It turns out that the slow way is the fast way, and the fast way is the slow way every single time. What do I mean by that? What I mean is the only way I'm going to be able to find the stupid TLV file is to reopen the last shot I did and just look at what the name of it is. I could have done that and it would have taken me 30 seconds. However, there is one little caveat here that we should consider. Can we do it through the browser and get thumbnails? That's an interesting question. Let's go to the drawings folder and let's find out. I don't know. Those thumbnails are pretty nasty looking. That's not. There's Golic, and there's a thumbnail, but it's only showing one image. So literally, I'm not kidding. On the entire last shot that I did, this one, I have found everything that's in this shot in the Tahoma folder except the thing I need, which is that pose right there. Where is it? I have no idea. Not a clue. So what we're going to do, I already saved all, so what I'm going to do is go back to 152B. And there it is. Wow. Wow. Okay. This is a little more complicated than usual because Golic is in a sub-X sheet or sub-scene, as Tahoma likes to call it, control down arrow. And what we are looking for, it turns out there's a reason why I couldn't find it. And the reason I couldn't find it, well, no, that's the side view. The side view, I would say, is a raster level. It's baked into the body one. Okay. That explains it. So what you want to look at is your level settings. You go to level settings, you can see the name. So it is FW. Okay, cool. Now we know what to do. Let's pull up the last one we were working on. We're going to discard the changes. And all I need to do is go back here, and indeed it was FW. We'll pull this in here and hit Control X. And there he is. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm such a silly goose. Now, there is some risk involved in what we're doing here. Tahoma did not give us the option to modeling, rigging, textures, animation, stories are fields people specialize in. If you do it on your own, it's difficult. Okay, so I'm looking at Mikhail's earlier comment. I've been learning Blender 3D and done hours of video and feel like I haven't scratched the surface of Blender. Well, yeah, Blender's a really, really, really big program. That's a fact. Okay, so the risk we're running right here is that if we were to make any modifications to this TLV file, it would probably corrupt the other scene. With the caveat that we could add additional drawings to it, and that would probably be fine. But I don't think we need to. What we need to do is do a color correction and then add another layer to give him a body so that he can be defocused in the background. So here's what we'll do. Let's put this in preview mode, and then let's hit F3. And what we're going to do is go into the FX browser, and here's level FW, and we want to basically do two things. First of all, let's do an image adjustment. The curves are actually in Tahoma exactly the same, well, not exactly, but almost the same as in Krita. So with actually some additional properties that are quite useful. So here, all I want to do is just kind of bring him down so he fades into the background a bit. And, I'd say that's probably fine. I guess I liked it a little better like that. Okay. And then what I want to do is add another effect in the chain, which I'm hoping we have an actual proper lens blur bokeh. Now, this is not... yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Let's do replace effects. Blur, local blur, motion blur, radial blur. Yeah, we're going to have to just do a... I wonder what bokeh ref is. I've never used that one. Let's replace blur, bokeh. Source depth. Yeah, I really kind of want to keep this a little simpler. So let's just go with a standard blur. Okay, not a big deal. 45 pixels, maybe a little aggressive. It seems to me that the focal blur when I did the background was around 35. That doesn't seem like it changed much, did it? Come on, baby. Let's turn this down to 10 and see what happens. Okay, yeah, 18 feels about right. Yep, there we go. Okay, yeah, Mikhail, if you would have asked me that in the year 2000, I would have told you the course that I created. But that was way back in the very early Blender days. Okay, actually, what I could do, just to, as I say, you know, just to kind of cover all the bases here. And by the way, I want to consider... he should actually probably be up like that. And here we have this. Let's hit N. Let's do it this way. I'm going to just show an alternative approach. And this kind of answers the other question about why you're using Tahoma. So I'm going to hit the tilde key, which solos the layer. And I'm going to just do Alt print screen. I'm literally going to do the most crude way of getting stuff from one program to the other. which is to do just a print screen. So I'm going to go File. I can actually add it here, as a matter of fact. So I'm going to go Control V. Okay, so there's Golek, and I'm going to shrink him down and put him in here. Just going to kind of feel it. Okay, and the reason I'm doing that is so I can kind of work with his attitude a little bit. So step 1 here, this is in the background, so I'm going to use the magic wand and just, boom, get rid of that color. Okay, so there's Golek. And then this is going to wind up just getting cut and pasted right back into Tahoma. So I'm going to hit G, E, and get rid of the border here. We got a little rogue border going on. So we'll just kind of do some quick and dirty surgery. So we're looking at 2 ways of doing this. We can put Golek in there in Tahoma using, you know, color correction and all the rest like I was doing. And what I find in most cases, frankly, is that doing it the way I'm doing it here turns out to work a little better, at least for me. Which is to say, you know what, I'm just going to kind of bring it in here, hit the G key, sample this color. Now let me see. He's going to be kind of like, he's going to have this kind of an attitude going on. Like he's got his arms folded kind of thing, but he's got a big pot belly. All right. So there we put Golek in there. And now we need to get this shadow action happening. That's too dark. Let me see if that feels right. Yeah, that feels right. So just going to go with that. Okay, we got this in here. And then we'll do a color correction here shortly. I'm complaining because I had the opacity turned down and I needed it turned back up. Yes, I did. It's okay. So we're just wanting to, not sold on the position of that hand. Sorry. I'm only 9 minutes late, but hello everyone. Hey, Helion. Sir Pinkbeard. Okay, never heard of Sir Pinkbeard. Alright, let's just go here, hit the B key, and start. Because he's in the background, I'm gonna just kind of reinforce his lines a bit. Okay, now let's get in there and allow ourselves a little bit of sketching. Nope, that's not right. This is going to be defocused, by the way, keep in mind. Everything that I'm drawing right now is going to wind up being actually defocused, so the details don't really matter much. But what I wanted to do, one of the reasons I'm doing it this way, is so I can actually go in and just tighten this drawing up because it's being shrunk down a lot. Now that looks a little cheeseball, so let's undo that. I do want to give him a little more definition up here because he actually does have a bit of a hair thing. Oh boy, that doesn't look right. That looks like Asher's cap. Well, it's because I'm trying to draw in a stupid orientation here, so I need to rotate the canvas so I can. Okay, that's better. 5 key. Boom. Okay, and now I'm just kind of thinking about the shadowing situation. Yeah, I like his attitude. I'll definitely do. Alright, so now I'm turning the stabilizer off and I'm just going to paint this in here. Paint, paint, paint. Grab this. G key. Now, it seems to me, by the way, that he also had, didn't he have a belt? He did. That boy's got a belt under his tubby little tummy. Oh yeah. Okay. Obviously, if we want to sort of get the look here correct, we need to look here in Tahoma at our composition. Yeah, there's no question doing it the Tahoma way is stupid, so we're not going to do it. We are not going to do it. We are going to do it the Krita and Tahoma way, which is to process the video over yonder and then bring it in. So, Control M to basically copy the effect of the lighting that I had over in Tahoma. Kind of feeling like obviously we need to, whoops, that's not what I just meant to do. We do need to deal with some shadow action, but first, let's just kind of move some things around a bit. Come on, Tummy. Get out there, Tummy. And then I'm going to accept that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this into rotate mode. And let's just see what happens. Boom. Okay. I actually like that. Let's go with it. Boom. And rotate mode. So here's where we're going to hone in on his head. I just want to see what it feels like. Yep, that was the right idea. Okay, so unfortunately Krita's a little bit stupid this way and keeps switching back to the other tool. That's what I wanted. Okay, well, do we want to animate it? Why does it look to me like Krita just went like about 85 steps back and undid like a whole bunch of stuff? Am I losing my marbles here? I don't know. But I suppose the question is there any such thing as software that's not pretty stupid at least a reasonably great amount of time, you know, percentage of the time? I would say the answer is nope. Everybody has their favorites, but they all do stupid things at times. Okay, what I'm going to do here on the Golic layer is, watch this, we're going to actually make this good, believe it or not. Okay, and the way we're going to make it good is we're going to actually take his whole body weight and move him over a little bit. Like so. Let's just check. Okay. Now we're going to do a really big rotate to the left. Boom. Okay, now we're going to do a rotate to the right. So, rotate mode, boom, rotate, reverse. Reverse starts with R and right starts with R. Therefore, you know that when you're doing a rotation move, R makes it go to the right. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go back to the standard liquify tool and just get that dialed. Ah, that's no good. His head is too... Come on, see it just switch back to rotation. Frankly, when that happens, I seriously want to curse. I mean, I actually want to get pretty foul-mouthed. That's when the F-bombs start wanting to come out because it's just so stupid. It's like, give me one example in the real world where that software behavior would ever be a good idea. Just one scenario. And there isn't one. Yeah. That tends to get me a little sussy at times. And because things are not working in the correct order, I'll blame this on myself, but I'm actually going to hit undo a bunch of times and start over. And I'm not going to talk. Okay. Krita just exploded. Wow. Well, it's a good example of, if we go back to the question up north here was, why are you using Tahoma? And now people are going, why are you using Krita? Well, it's crashed one time today. This would be the first time it crashed today. So. Let's go back here. What we are working on is shot 158. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's what I was... Ah, and it just did it again. Okay, let me think about this for a minute. This has happened twice. You're going into animate mode with a layer that does exceed the image size. Well, I don't know why that would matter, since Krita deals with layers that are outside the image size all the time. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to solve it this way. We're going to go layer, no, image, trim to image size. File, save. Okay. I'll bet you that did it. Yeah, that got rid of all the chaff. Now, hopefully, we can actually get busy here and not have Krita blow up. Okay, so what did we want to do? I have to think about his body here, what he's doing. Basically, his shoulders would relax a bit. Okay. Frankly, they're nice. Okay. Free. Come on. Now, I believe, darn, Alt. Let me see. Boom, boom, boom. Very small changes. Okay. Save our work. Well, the thing about Golik is his attitude. He's such an important character to this thing. If he's in the shot at all. I want to make it count. Now, we're probably going to have too many animation keys here. Alright, and so now what we're going to do is go into move mode. And now I got a little bit of correction to do. Remember, he is going to be defocused. File, save. That's actually pretty darn good. Except this would be a bit later. So you'd have the shift of the weight and then the turn of the head. Shift of the weight, turn of the head. Probably too many tweens though. Shift of the weight, turn of the head. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't like that. Let's get rid of this one. It's actually only 2 keys. But yeah, that's probably okay. All right. That's working for Golik. So let's hit save. And now, hey Mar. Krita's great for raster drawings, but I'd like to create a cell with 100 proteins moving in a random pattern. Wow, dude, I would be. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'd be in Blender for that too. I mean, if I need to do a really hardcore, you know, that's a duplicate situation, or a particle system situation. It's one or the other. You could probably do it in Tahoma actually, with a looped animation that is the source, particle source for a particle, you know, system. But yeah, you're not going to do that in Krita. No, no, no. No, no, no. Okay, so let's do this. Let's take Control G and put Golik in a group. Let's just go back here and look at what we've got going on in Tahoma. Okay, so now there's a little caveat about Golik. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a paint layer over here. And I'm going to hit the G key and I'm going to draw a little circle, little knobs in the corners. Little knobs in the corner. Okay. Now what that's going to do is it's going to fool Tahoma. Okay. Now I'm going to marry that group together. So what I just did was I tricked Tahoma into not cropping. If I cut and paste into Tahoma, Tahoma's going to want to crop to the character, which is fine until the character moves a little bit and the bounding box potentially changes a little bit. Now you're dinking around in Tahoma trying to get everything lined back up again. But we're still not done. We need to do I think we will leave the color correction actually for we'll do the shadows here. So let's get the shadows in there. This should be real simple. Let's add a layer. Let's alpha lock it and hit the G key, and let's just go ahead and put some shadows here like that. Let's kind of let him be lost in shadow to a degree. Okay, and then we'll actually allow a little bit of backlight to bleed over there. Okay, and now we're going to just dial that in. All right. Keep it, the shape's pretty simple. Okay, so we can flatten that layer. What we are going to do is, I would say, let's do the color correction here. So Control M. I'm going to actually allow that to kick in. Maybe bring a little bit more saturation out. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go Control F, which just duplicates that on each of those. Okay. Now we're ready to go to Tahoma. And then we'll add the blur. Okay. Control C, Control V, paste it in place. Okay, now we're going to frame 7. Control C. Okay, that's a little strange, but okay. I would have, okay, so Tahoma, that's annoying. Get rid of that. We do not want that. So Tahoma only recognizes it as part of the same level, not based on what level you're pasting it into, but based on whether they are contiguous frames. I would call that, let's be gracious, I would call that a bit of a logic oversight, but that's okay. I mean, that's just a choice. Okay, so now we got this. We're going to hit the A key and scale Golic up. And he's definitely not quite where he needs to be. Let me see. I want to crop this to the camera so I can see. Probably something like that. Okay, F3. Do the same thing we did before, which was we're taking column 2 and sorry, we need to be in the FX. And we're going to add the blur. Insert effects, blur, blur. Keeping it simple. Boom. Boom. And what did we say? Not 45. It seems to me it was about 18 was what I liked. If I'm remembering correctly. Boom. Okay. That's a little strong on the blur there, folks. That's a little strong on the blur. I'm going to say let's go with 12. Boom. I don't know. We got to be able to see that it's Golic. His nasty, ugly countenance. And by the way, I'm actually rethinking my color correction. So I'm going to go back and actually post blur. I'm going to go ahead and add a curves. Image adjust, curves. Boom, boom. And I think I want to crank his high end up. So let's just go ahead and crunch it this way. Yep, that'll work. So I'm basically just upping his contrast. Let me see. Not that much. There we go. And then let's try that. That feels pretty good. The other thing I like about the curves tool in Krita and in Tahoma, actually what I was about to say I'm not going to say, because I was thinking that you had channels. You have a channel for alpha, which is pretty useful. What you don't have is channels for saturation, hue adjustments. Yeah, you don't have that. Okay, the only thing I would say is this expression is wrong. But what we'll do is let's just fix it right here in Tahoma. We're going to actually change both of these. So what we'll do is we'll take this one and let's just really zoom in. And now I just hit the R key to sample this color, and we're just going to erase his eyebrows. Erase his eyebrows. Now you can see some weirdness in the alpha channel here, and it does appear to me that under the hood, you probably can't see this. I don't know if you can, but unless you look really closely, you can see that the color sampling in Tahoma, for whatever stupid reason, I was going to say it's not accurate, but you know what? I could be wrong. Actually, I think what's really going on is that if you take away pressure, maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. When I pressed really hard, the color actually came out correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little adjustment here and a big adjustment on the next one. So now I'm going to hit the R key and take this and bring it down like that. And now let's just, come on. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that'll work. That will work. Okay, hit the M key to flip the canvas. I've got it set in Tahoma to be the same as Krita. So M key is what you use for flipping. Alright, now I hit the N key. And what we should see, yeah, look at that. Look at that scowl. I like it. I like it very mucho. What I don't like is that little anomaly, but I think when it renders, yeah, it doesn't have that problem. So in the fast preview mode, there's a little bit of anomaly stuff that you see related to cutting and pasting from other programs. Fortunately, it doesn't render that way. So, looks like our shot might be done. File, save all. What is this? This is 158, and I thought I already set up my render settings, but I just can't remember. So let's wait for Tahoma to stop thinking. It's having to resave those images. The good news is, of course, if I actually need a wide shot of Golik later in another scene, here he is. It's all saved in the extras folder for me. So that's one thing I like about doing the whole cut and pasting thing from Tahoma. Okay, so what I was going to check is whether my output settings were already set. 158 render. Looks like we're in business, folks. Let's do it. So that should copy over the old version of the shot. And I think we will all agree that the new version of the shot is going to look better. A gangsta lean. All right, let's jump over here and see what we got. Yeah, there we go. So we got the wink. Okay, we got to crop this to its actual start point. Not bad, not bad. Not perfect. I'm not sure I like the angle of the hand. I almost feel like I want it to lift into shot more as opposed to rotating in, but not horrible. Again, as I said earlier, you never have a situation where there's not a little bit of color correction going on. And in this case, I would say maybe a slight gamma decrease. Something more like that. So, alright guys, I am going to go hang with my woman for about 5 minutes, and then I will be back. I'm not going to stop the stream. And then we will evaluate where we go from here. Probably what we're going to do is take this shot and repurpose it to redo the acting from this shot so that he's more on character. So if that's interesting, hang around. And if it's not interesting, you know, you will probably leave. So, all right. See you guys in a bit. dokie, people. Gangsta lean. I assume that's referring to the way they're kind of being just as cool as cucumbers back here. Okay, so let's take a look at what happens next. Okay, yeah. So Asher says, but, let's see, he ends up here. But now that you mention it, okay, so I actually think we could take this shot, run it backwards, and we need to change his eyes so he's actually looking over at Golek. So that should be pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. He says,
But now that you mention it,
and Golek says, ah, here we go. And it becomes a bit of a thing between those two. So the thing about it is, Mikhail, I really appreciate that, and I have a Discord account, and I am actually on Darren's Discord. It's one of the few items I'm subscribed to. The problem is that once I've worked a full day, whatever that looks like, you know, on a given day, and done it here, you know, on YouTube, I don't tend to really want to spend a bunch of time on social media, is the truth of the matter. It's not that it wouldn't be a good thing, you know, maybe having a presence there, but I don't know that I can really impart my wisdom to the masses anyway, just blabbing on Discord. My whole purpose here is to just say, you know what, this isn't about teaching per se. This is about just doing the work. And I think that's probably a good place to be. All right, I'm giving Tahoma a second to save the scene. I assume it's probably going to take a moment. Let's go back to this one. I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. What shot was that? That was 155. Okay. 155. Okay. And, oh, okay, my bad. Looks like I did it in Krita, but that's okay. That's okay. Let's go ahead and take this. Now we'll have this for the future in case we need this stuff. We'll just save that. And then let's go back to the shot that we were using or doing in here in Krita. Was it 155? I think that's it right there. Do we want to save the autosave? Yeah, let's give it a crack and see what we have. Okay, yeah. So we can just run this in reverse, and I don't think we need to go over to Tahoma for this. Okay. So how do we do that? Well, step one would be, for this shot, I'm going to go remove frame and pull. And so now it just ripple edited the whole thing so we don't have the wide shot. And now we're going to immediately save that under the correct file name, which is going to be... Now, don't want to be confused by noise that's not necessary, so let's get the mouth out of there. And look at what we've got. Oh, come on, Krita, really? This is the one reason I actually prefer Krita 3, because you had the ability to lock those panels so they don't accidentally get dragged around. Okay, we don't need the eye wink. So here's the head. Okay, and I'm going to use this as well. So the wink is not needed in this shot. All of this is just a head turn, which probably up to there is useful. This is not useful. And now I think, actually I'm going to take this one, move it downstream, move these back to here. I know this is a little confusing. But what I want to do, I usually like to give about a 4-frame breather at the beginning to get things let the shot settle before we start moving things around. Okay. And by the way, ignore that. This is file. Let's just, for now, I guess we'll just grab a new scene just to sort of clear the air here. Okay. Okay, and we don't want that pause in there. So we want to go straight to the movement. Okay, so this is going to be basically overwriting those. But now that you mention it. Okay, and when we go to this, we're going to move his eyes around. We're going to change his angle of his eyes. So now I won't be able to sample colors correctly if there's any color correction in the shot. So I'm just going to turn those levels off, or layers, and hit the G key, sample this, and get rid of his eyes. Here, and in all of these. And by the way, I see a little flaw up here in the color as well that probably should be addressed. Unfortunately, this always defaults to curve precision, which I think I've ever had curve precision turn out to be desirable, like maybe once ever. But you can't get Krita to remember its settings and leave it on raw precision pretty quickly. Okay. A little hiccup right there. Alright, so now what he does, I guess we should completely match that color. And then probably the old pen brush would be pretty good. Okay, and I am trying to zoom in and everything seems to be wanting to freeze up. Who knows why? Earlier today when that happened, what I just did worked, which is, for whatever reason, you click over to another program and back, and all of a sudden the apparent lockup. Okay. And now what I would say is, let's put this in here like that. But we're gonna, okay, that was not good. I'm gonna hit the M key so I can reverse these so that I can see what I'm doing, because my hand had covered him up. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna sell this animation with an eye blink. And as I often say, you know, it might turn out that that isn't an improvement, but I suspect in this case it will be. So he's going to say, but now that you mention it, yeah, I love it. I love it. Perfect. Okay, so let's put his mouth back in, but of course that's going to be a complete mess. So we want the mouth a layer, but we don't want any of the keys. So boom, all gone. Maybe. Let's go back to our pencil. Maybe let's insert a key. Oh, come on. Okay. If you're wondering what just happened, I'm not going to touch the screen because I want to show what just happened. Here, the mouth layer is selected. Here, the mouth layer is selected. But in the timeline, the cell that's selected happens to be in the head layer. And so what Krita thinks is intelligent is that what you've selected in the timeline takes precedence. Doesn't matter what layers you've got selected in the program. It's not smart enough to go, well, if you clicked a layer, or if you clicked a cell in this layer, then obviously that layer should be selected. No, that's not how Krita sees it. The way Krita sees it is, if you insert or delete a key, it will be inserted or deleted in whatever layer you have selected a cell in. However, in every other regard, Krita gives no regard to what cell you have selected relative to the layer. In other words, you must always explicitly select the exact layer you want to operate in, even though it'd be great if you could just select a cell and now this layer gets selected. I select this cell, this layer gets selected. That's how Krita should work, but it doesn't. So what it just did was, even though I've got the mouth layer selected, when I hit insert to insert a key, it inserted a key on the wrong layer. Yeah. Seems pretty silly to me, but hey, what do I know? Okay, that's what we meant to do. That's what we meant to do. Okay, so Maestro Gatuno says you use Toon Boom. Nope. Nope. I don't use Toon Boom. I'm not really into the whole vector thing. I don't know, maybe nowadays Toon Boom has you know, pixel based animation too. I have no idea. Don't know, don't care. Don't know, don't care. Don't use Toon Boom. Don't use Flash. Don't use Adobe Animate. Don't use Clip Studio Paint. I don't use TV Paint. No, I don't. I use Krita and Tahoma. That's what I use. Okay. But oopsie, that was a boo-boo. Insert a key. But now that you, whoops, I'm allowing myself to put relatively correct phonemes in here, by the way. Mention it. This needs to be a little bit more of a smile. Let's see how that worked out. File, save. Hi, Amar. I'm in. Oh, hey, it's Maria. Lots of stuff to do. But now that you mention it, haha, perfect. Okay, cool. We can render that and cut it right into the show. And we could, if you wanted to be, oh, you know, just have a little extra fun, you could put an eye blink in here as well. Just a sort of a little snarky eye blink. Boom. Boom. So this is where, this is a good example of where I'm getting what I call leverage, where, you know, having the assets already created and ready to go means it's almost stupidly quick to do a whole nother scene. And when you're dealing with dialogue, I mean, there's no point in doing a bunch of different shots just to do them. It actually makes for worse storytelling, makes it harder to do a good edit. So, but now that you mention it, okay, and I think I'm going to take this smile even a step further. And what I'm going to do is, okay, that was a mistake. I just did the quintessential mistake, meaning, you see what just happened? I selected the cell, I didn't select the layer. And so Krita put what I just did in the wrong layer. Happens all the time. So, rather than getting on Discord, what really should happen is I really should contact the Krita devs and say, look, you know, here I am. Look at what I'm doing. Look how awesome I am. Okay, since maybe I have a little street cred because of the work I'm doing with Krita, maybe you consider taking some of my opinions about how the program could be improved. This business about the layers is just not a very tough sell in my opinion. It's pretty obvious that the way it works is that's perfect. Okay, cool. Let's cut it into the show. We are in business. Okay, this is 159. We can turn our color correction back on. Save our work. Hit Control R. And unfortunately, Krita doesn't really remember where you were saving stuff, so you have to tell it explicitly. It doesn't save it with the Krita file, in other words. Okay, boom. 159. That's cool. That was quick. And it's such an improvement. I mean, this is really, really improving the look of the show. Now, looks like Vegas got a little confused. Normally, that fixes that problem. All right, let's just kind of go back here and see what we have. And by the way, yeah, we've done about 20 seconds today. Not too shabby. Sure. Been too long. What brings you here today?
Oh, it's always a privilege to stand in the presence of the king. But now that you mention it...
Cool. He says, oh, here we go. Yeah, because Asher's going to talk to them a little bit about the punitive taxes that they have been imposing on the landowners. Contact Krita and Tahoma to be featured on their channels. Yeah, I mean, I should. You can suggest me. You guys can go say, hey, check out BlendedPlanet. Not trying to be a snark. I really am not. Now, there's one thing I wanted to check here. First of all, okay, yeah, we got an error here. This would assumedly be right there. Yeah, it wasn't actually starting on the first frame. You mention it. Okay. It is tempting to jump ahead. How long have we been streaming today? 2.5 hours almost. Tempting to jump ahead to the next Asher shot. Think about that. He says, there is the small matter of taxes. So all we need to do is take the last shot. Have him pointed to Golek, and then bring his eyes back to the king, and then we've got to animate the eyebrow movement. The camera move is actually baked into Vegas here, so that's going to hold true no matter what we do. So yeah, let's go ahead and knock out the next Asher shot. We might as well. Okay. Boom. Boom, ba-boom, boom. Okay, so what we want to do is he starts out here. So I would say let's take all of this and mirror the frames. Okay? And now this head needs to be popped in there. Let's see what happens. What is the small matter of taxes? Ah, interesting. I would say we could go like this, remove frame and pull. We don't need that pose in there. So let's copy that over there. Ah, yes, there it is. There it is. I'm going to save this as, holy cow, this was easy. This is 161. Man! We're getting leverage here, people. Boom, boom. 161.ping.cra. And it didn't announce that it was saving over it because the original shot was actually done in Blender. Done in Blender 2.79 grease pencil. So he's got his eyes closed there for kind of a long time. So let's just grab all these right here and go remove frame and pull. That just ripple edits it.
There is the small matter of...
Okay, right here. Right here. Let's go into the head layer, and now you're going to see how you use Liquify to do some fancy schmancy animation pretty quick and easy. Alright, in the head layer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go hit the S key and I'm just going to grab his eyebrow. Okay? So now, when I use the Liquify tool, it's only going to affect his eyebrow. Like that. Okay? And now we should probably turn the color correction off as well. Hit Control-Shift-A, and then hit the G key for a freehand path tool and just patch the hole. Ta-da! Easy peasy.
There is the small matter.
Okay, and he says, there is this. I don't like the timing on that. There is the small. Okay, yeah, so really this needs to happen more like here.
There is the small matter.
Here. And maybe make a small adjustment here as well. Little adjustment. Boom, boom. Grab the brush and just kind of paint that a little bit. Do I have my pencil selected? I'm not sure. Okay, and then maybe just a little bit of a closing up. Obviously this difference is a little bit egregious. Alright, so now what we want is actually the opposite of what we did, so that when we go to the small matter, both eyebrows come up. Okay, so let's grab this and fix this hole. G key. Okay, so there's that. And then I believe it was around, let's see, let's go to actual size.
There is the small.
There is the small. Yeah, right there. Okay. I'm going to select this eyebrow, and I'm hitting Shift And I'm going to select this eyebrow. And I'm going to put in 2 keys. Why? Because it's fun. It's fun to put in 2 keys. Okay, and then we're going to have to make adjustments here. That key could actually be deleted. Boom. Okay, so let's patch up. Patchy, patchy. G key, boom. And looks like it's in raw mode. That's good. Patchy, patchy. Same situation here. We want that shadow to come all the way up to there. And then, boom. Let's go ahead and ease that back out like that. Come on. Cool beans. And then when he says taxes, he's going to say taxes right there. We're going to actually take this up even a step further. So let's grab this. And we'll just keep doing what we've been doing. Shift key. Come on. B key. All right. Save your work. Save early. Save often. All right. Got a little bit of voice fixing to do. Or lip sync fixing, I guess you should say. G key. Just grab that. Grab that. Grab that. Come on. Come on. Fill the hole there, buddy. Okay, that I accidentally had my finger on the wrong key. Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, now that you mention it. Oh wait, I think that was, yeah. There is the small matter of, okay, yeah, right here. There is the small, okay, so he's got that. I think we could just go ahead and dive right in with G key, and again, make sure you're on the freaking mouth layer and that you have the correct color. And gosh, should we go Disney on this? Let's go Disney. What the heck? So I'm going to just, I don't normally do this with Asher, but this one time I'm going to do it. This one time. Just this once. Just this once. Just to prove I actually do know how to do this. Okay. Insert G key. Okay. Now, whoopsie. What we really need is this to be moved down to here. Because he's directing that to the king with a little glibly. Little glibly.
There is the small matter of taxes.
Isn't that sweet? That's pretty good. It's not perfect.
Taxes.
That happens too quickly.
Taxes.
So here, let me see if we've got a... I could probably stick that in there and see if that works.
Taxes.
And I think this should actually come after, so... There, that's what I'm talking about. It's all about the acting, man. It's so not... I mean, yes, it's animation, but, you know, it's not like the animation part's particularly difficult. It's all about the acting.
Taxes.
Now, these should be more coincidental, actually. I think that should be there. It's probably supposed to be here, but I'm going to see how it feels. I actually like the short delay. Okay, so we got 72 frames. This is 161, and this is actually going to be an improvement. Now, this was initially 0 to 225, so I'm guessing this was probably originally done at 24 frames a second,
which is most unfortunate.
No, maybe not. Well, let's look at the properties. Yep, 8. Okay. So we're going to go 161. Let's render this baby. Control R.
161.ping.craw.
Boom, boom. 61. Boom, boom. 61. Render. And then we shall see how it looks in the show. And I think it's going to look pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. Now, we do have this. Come on. There we go. Restore. We do have that camera move. Let's see if the camera move still works.
There is a small matter of taxes.
Ah. Perfect. That looks good. I like it. Okay. So now, what have we done? What have we done? 26 seconds. 31. We have done 31 seconds, so we've actually done 30 seconds of show today. In under 3 hours. I like it muy mucho. Of course, technically, I think I did that one last night, so. King. Little snarky thing. That snapped me out of the show a little bit. Alright. So, unfortunately, we need to edit this tighter. I think like that. King. I don't even think we need to see his hand go up. I think we need just a tiny... Now, the problem is, Problem is we don't get to see Golek move. Now this is a judgment call. Okay, so the question you should be asking yourself is, I'll answer your question, Ashnan, in a minute. Whether it matters. Is the audience actually going to notice what Golek does in the background? And the answer is no, not even close. So the fact that it got chopped out of the shot just doesn't matter, I would say. Just a little hint of motion is all we needed there. And then, frankly, this is probably going too long. Boom. Yeah, that's going way too long. So, bop, right there.
But now that you mention it, here we go. There is the small matter of taxes.
I love it. I think it's looking great.
I think it's looking marvelous, marvelous.
Not perfect. There are definitely still things that I maybe would want to improve a bit. But I have to say, redoing this sequence with Asher was a big win. Because I thought the animation on this stuff was done pretty well, but it just doesn't look like the guy. Really kind of a problem. Okay, so Ashan says, do you first animate then voice, or voice then animate? Animate then voice. Two reasons for that. Number one, it's not hard to kind of make the voices match, you know, timing wise. Number one. And number two, how do I put this? When you've directed films and actors, you don't really need to, yeah, of course you can animate on Photoshop. I don't need the voice performance to inform the animation. Now, it's not that it wouldn't maybe help in some cases, but I don't need it. And because I have a very clear idea in my head of what the acting is supposed to be. So when I've directed live actors, a lot of times, you know, they have found it quite helpful that I actually act it out for them if they're having trouble finding it. That hasn't been a big problem for me because for whatever reason, the way I write scripts, actors tend to understand what I intended the character to be feeling and doing, just because of the way I write. So I don't have a lot of problem with. I usually have the pleasurable process of having the actors give me precisely what I of the actor, but it's probably the writing is probably deficient. That would be my opinion. Others may disagree. So, what to do from here? We do have one more Asher shot. And then there's a bunch of stuff that was kind of run in reverse back yonder. I would say, I think I'm ready to give it a break. I think I'm ready to call it quits for now. So, I think we'll call this a session. I feel like going and pumping some iron. I usually lift weights around this time of day, and I think we've gotten a lot done, and we're past 30 seconds, so I may be back on later today. But for now, I will just say